However, they died even before the Alamosauruses. The red-hot asteroid caused huge fires while passing through the atmosphere. One of them broke out where a family of ankylosaurs were grazing. The fire instantly incinerated the forest, leaving the reptiles no chance to survive. The asteroid also knocked out 15 trillion tons of rock from the planet and sent it high into the sky. A small portion flew into outer space, while the remaining part, including house-sized boulders, began to fall back from orbit. At the same time, glass rain started. It was raining hot 5-millimeter rock balls. The stone hail and the scorching rain have killed innumerable animals. However, the Pachycephalosaurus, who was hunting near the ocean in North America, was lucky. It didn't die from fires and boulders falling from the sky. But a bit later, when a gigantic 100-meter tsunami rose from the ocean. To get some idea about its scale, consider the devastating tsunami in Japan of 2011. Those waves were barely 10 meters high. Nonetheless, almost the entire island state incurred losses. But the giant tsunami caused by the asteroid impact went thousands of kilometers deep into the land. It flooded almost the entire territory of the future USA. Wave traces have even been found in North Dakota. One of these waves took the Pachycephalosaurus under, dragged its body into the ocean, and buried it in the abyss. The area of modern Mongolia. Just then, an elderly Tarbosaurus was looking for a prey. Here, 15,000 kilometers from the explosion epicenter, hundreds of dinosaur species still roamed wooded areas. Meanwhile, the disaster was getting closer by the minute. The asteroid impact triggered a series of terrible earthquakes, measuring up to 11.2 points. The tremors were about 50 times stronger than any earthquake known to humanity. The most powerful Great Chilean earthquake of 1960 had a 9.5 magnitude. Increasing this number by 1 point would mean 30 times more powerful energy release. The planet was shaking so hard that all the volcanoes woke up and began to erupt. About 70 billion tons of pulverized stones, soot, ash, and carbon monoxide rose up as a result of eruptions. Then they began falling back into the atmosphere. Their friction against the air caused enormous temperature increase. A huge hot cloud of dust stormed across the planet, burning everything in its path. It was approaching Mongolia at a speed of 18,000 kilometers per hour. The temperature here rose to 150 degrees Celsius an hour and a half after the impact. All living creatures died. Or rather, almost all creatures. Our Tarbosaurus and several other animals managed to escape by hiding in an underground cave. They could hide out here while the killer cloud passed by. Soon, the temperature began to drop. This was followed by acid rain flooding the Earth, because several 100 billion tons of sulfur compounds were being thrown into the troposphere along with other rocks. For weeks, sulfuric acid was pouring from the sky all over the planet. It poisoned the soil and water bodies. A dense blanket of dust, ash, and soot wrapped around the planet after volcanic eruptions, not letting any light and heat in. Even at noon, it was as dark as at night. The temperature dropped by 28 degrees Celsius. impact winter set in. When hunger and thirst drove the Tarbosaurus and other animals out of the cave, they saw a world that looked strikingly different from before. It was cold, dark, and deserted. Only decay, fungi, and molds were able to reproduce under such conditions. There was no food for dinosaurs on the planet. Countless animals starved to death. Our Tarbosaurus didn't manage to survive either. Perhaps it was the last dinosaur on the planet. However, one can assume that occasional dinosaur eggs have been preserved intact somewhere underground. Young individuals hatched from them after some time. Tiny groups of dinosaurs emerged here and there. But cold weather, hunger, and disease contributed to their final demise. The era of dinosaurs came to an end. The Cenozoic Era began. The dust clouds dissipated over the planet over the course of several decades, and heat and sunlight were finally able to reach the surface. Nature revived from the ruins. First, huge horsetails and ferns emerged yet again. They were closely followed by angiosperms and grass. Other animals who had been dominated by dinosaurs for millions of years were ready to march bravely into the new era. Mammals. Some of them survived the disaster in underground burrows. Others stayed on trees. They've become well adapted to extreme conditions, were quick to reproduce, and consumed relatively little food. They were guaranteed to thrive on the renewed planet. The success of mammalian evolution led to the emergence of Homo sapiens, who is now the dominant species on Earth. But we're a long way from setting the dinosaurs' record, as it's been a few million years since we've conquered the world. Only time will show if people will rule the planet for 160 million years, like ancient reptiles.